Hey everybody, it's your buddy Work, D&D Hobbyist. Again, we are working. I'm going to leave a video log for our monthly session. Uh, this is for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, the Turn of Fortune's Wheel. So we are playing through that. This is the second session. I have 5 players. Now, we've had a little bit of a turmoil. So Alicia, who is playing a Kinku wizard, has an opportunity and will be moving away. So I went fishing again, and I found another guy that has recently moved to Grand Rapids. He's from the area, but he moved back and is looking for a D&D group to run or to play in, etc., etc., etc. And so, I have a once a month Sunday game, and you're welcome to join. I have a player that's leaving. So now, while I was having coffee with him and checking him out and everything, talking, I had 2 people drop out of the game. The one that the track coach was going to be out of town, and another guy had his mother in town. So they were both busy. So I told him, hey, it was going to be a month, but now do you want to play Sunday? And I was like, sorry for the short notice. Hopefully, we can make something. And he was like, yeah, I can totally. I'll clear my schedule. I'll show up. So he got to play with Alicia, which was nice. And I love his character. He has a Minotaur fighter. And for his uncommon item, he picked a headband of intellect, which manifests as like a prosthetic horn. Like he has a horn on one side that's broken off, and he has like a magic metal horn prosthesis on the end, so making him symmetrical. But every once in a while, whenever he has to figure something out, it'll glow with runes and stuff. So Rune Knight. So cool, super cool. He's very good. Making characters and describing their affectations and everything. So that's really good. So the second session, they are still in Seguil. They are in, I called it the Scenic Overlook Hotel, looking over the ditch, the majestic and picturesque ditch. So while they were there, they talked to several patrons at the bar. They ate and drank, etc. They decided, they had bought a map of the cage, so they were able to find several locations that were marked out, and they kind of went through them. And the one that they were looking at was the Hall of Records. Another one was the Hall of Information. One thing that they had seen was T Street Transit, and the human monk I think he's a drunken master, but he loves tea, so he's very focused on tea, and the fact that it had tea in the name, he wanted to go there. So they go to the very first thing they do is they go to T Street Transit. I described for them 5 different modes of transportation around Sigil. Winged boars pulling a pumpkin, and various different things. One was a whale with like a door in the side, and you could get inside, and it was like a living room in there, and it would fly you around. I was all over the place. I had multiple different things that I'd brainstormed. So they yeah. They were like, whoa. When they saw the prices, they weren't especially interested to do that anymore. Parisa was urging them to do that because Parisa's lazy and wants to take it easy, take a load off of her hooves. So they kind of nope out of there. They went to the Hall of Information. The Hall of Information is billed as an information kiosk or a welcome center for the city of Sigil. So inside there, they looked around and they collected a ton of information about a lot of different stuff. And what else did they do? That's about it. There were registries of different services. So the Kinku was an Order of the Scribe wizard. So they were looking for scribes, and they found basically like the main wizard enclaves, like the big libraries scattered throughout Sigil. And they wrote, that down because they should be able to contact their order, or their order should know who they are, and that would be an avenue of investigation that they could pursue, compounded by the fact that she's a kinku, so she can't really explain to people what her ideas are and what she's trying to do, and she's going to have a hard time explaining to the people at the Order of Scribes what has happened and what she's trying to figure out. So again, that kinku curse coming back and biting her in the butt. She was struggling with that, but she seemed to be having a good time. I guess that's fun. What else did they find? The one guy was looking for tea shops. They were looking for different stuff, so they kind of putzed around in there. And then the next stop was the Hall of Records. So the Hall of Records, they got in there, and they were looking for records of different things. And they had mentioned death records, so they were like, wait. So we were at the mortuary, the mortuary, so we should have death records, right? They said we were dead. So if we were there, we were already like inventoried or whatever. I gave them toe tags. So like there should be a record. So they went to the hall, where several hours later, they're at the desk with the lady there, just an elven woman, and they're asking for the record of their death, and she goes away, and she's gone for a long time, and she comes back with another person and apologizes and says, there's you're in the index, and we know where the record should be, but there is no record to pull out. It's a weird thing, and the other guy's talking to other people, and they're running away. So it's like it's created a little bit of a hullabaloo around here. They're trying to figure out, why records have gone missing, and trying to, investigate that. Like, it seems suspicious. So, sorry, but better luck next time. And then the next character stepped up and gave his name, and she went and looked, and it was missing too. So now we've got a real coincidence, right? So then the third character steps up. At this point, there's like 3 or 4 people there. The third character steps up and says, this is me. Do you have my death certificate? And they look, and it's not there. So now, the one guy, she's like, okay, well, we got to do an investigation. Give us your information, and we'll contact you. And they're like, well, we're staying at this hotel, and you have our names, and blah 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 blah. And she was like, yeah, okay, well, when did you come from the mortuary? She's like deconstructing everything that they've done backwards, like going back, like trying to get a full history and trying to get everybody in the party's full names and where they've been. And they were like, whoa, this is unsettling, this is making me feel threatened, and she was like, it'd probably be best if you just stayed here, and blah 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 blah. So now they're like, whoa, and they nope out of there, and they basically run away because people are like in the background or meeting up and looking at them and running away, and like there's like there's something going on. Again, this is kind of the first shadowing that they've really had that like something big is going on, and there's like a big conspiracy, there's like stuff going on, and it involves them, and they don't know anything about it. So cool. So I'm starting to create a little bit of a tone, so that's good. Like I got a little inspired by that. So after leaving there, they didn't know what to do. We can't go back to the hotel. What do you think we should do? And Parissa's like, I'm hungry. I think we should go get something to eat. So they go to this. There's like a cider hall, like a great big, huge, like a fest hall where they have cider and food and everything. And it's like a big, giant beer garden. And she's like, let's go over there. So they go that way. And as they're getting close, there's like a big intersection, kind of like a clearing, like a square, like not a park, but more like a square, where people can meet and congregate before and after they go into the hall. It's like a little staging area or whatever. So as they're approaching, I give them passive perceptions. They see 3 harmonium officers talking to someone, and they come up and they can see that this person's talking to him and talking to him and talking to him, and they're like blah 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 blah, and they're like no blah 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 blah, and they're like blah 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 blah, and then the person in the cloak that they don't know looks over at the party and is like, oh, and like is like, over there, that's them over there. So at that point the party is like, F, they're gonna come, they're coming this way. And he does again, very good, thank you, Wizards of the Coast, putting a line in there that the guy says. This helps me greatly. You know, they say, oh, you know, you're for crimes against the multiverse, blah 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 blah. And they're like, what? So they all start, the guards start running. I started them far apart, like 120 feet apart, so that way they could kind of see each other, and they had time to react. So they're running up on them. The monk runs forward because he can blow everything on movement and get super close. And he gets super close and can't attack. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot this guy's still pretty new. He's not real familiar with the game mechanics. So he kind of just ran up there and was like, hey, why don't all three of you take a free round just beating the crap out of me? So that's what he did. He ran up there. And then I believe it was the barbarian. So like everybody kind of moved up good, but not all the way. The harmonium officers did the same thing. So they dashed and got up to the monk, but then they didn't attack because they were out of action. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll have them do that. Instead of stopping a little bit away, I'll just have them also play poorly so everybody can kind of start on even footing. So you got two of them. Two of them are basically in adjacent to party members. By the end of the second round, attacks have been made against the harmonium that missed, and I think you have three party members and 2 harmonium in combat, and then you have the one harmonium, like the captain, who held back and is like directing the others and issuing commands and things. Long story short, they had a big fight. The party didn't do super great, but they did focus fire, so they, I reminded them about non-lethal damage. So they non-lethally put down the captain and one of the harmonium officers. They were just leaving the other harmonium officer alone, and then he got focus fire, and he just started trying to run away. So they let him run away. I used the spy, Pharaoh. I had him disguised as the firebender gnome sorcerer. He was like, hey, get over here. I can help. I on behalf of an anonymous benefactor, we know what's going on with you and we can help. Come this way before others arrive. So they're like, crap, we don't have anything, this is super sussy too, but we're going to follow you because it's like a nibble for a plot. So we're going to follow you because I don't know what else we're going to do. So they follow him and they go through some back alleys and different stuff. And then they go, into the back of like a kitchen of a restaurant or an inn or whatever, and they go in, but as soon as they go into the place, they go down into the cellar, and then that takes them into Undersigil. Once they're in Undersigil, they take a short rest. He explains to them, he can't tell them who the benefactor is, but they're a very powerful entity, and once they get there, obviously she'll be revealed, but until then, they wanted to maintain their anonymity. He changed shape. He changed back into Pharaoh, the Shatterkai rogue. So they're like, oh, okay. And he explained the harmonium, and he just tried to explain a little bit about what's going on, and where they were, and where they were going to. And so then they went. Is that all that same one? Yeah. So they went into we got a lot done, man. So they went into Undersigil. There was the fat rat, They've been dealing with the cranium rats. Like, they got introduced to the cranium rats by Parisa, and so they weren't completely clueless, and so now they knew there were cranium rats. Parisa had blew them off whenever the harmonium attacked. They were like, "Oh, good luck, guys." Um, so they meet the fat cat, and they go and they get into the big caker thing, and that big caker fight really took it out of them. That's a lot of hit points, especially for fourth level, for a fourth level party. Um, there was quite a few of them in there, and then there are vargoyles after you finally beat them down, and the vargoyles are tougher. They do that psychic damage and everything. So that was a decent fight. That was a really good fight. And then after that fight, they short rested again, and then they made it to Fortune's Wheel, and then that's where we ended that session. So there were 2 big fights in that one. So we had 1 big fight in the first session, 2 big fights in the second session. But they had made it to Fortune's Wheel. So they went in. I told them who the butler was. I told them all of that sort of stuff, and said, they're there for the night, and then in the morning, or whenever they get up and about, then they can continue. Better session. There was a lot of combat. There was a lot of locations I had prepared. I had asked them in Discord, hey, where all do you want to go? Where all are you looking to go? So that's where the locations had come from. So I prepared the locations. I had descriptions of the people they would be talking to and meeting there, the people that were running things. I like to be able to describe that stuff. It's like you walk up to the teller, or you walk up to the teller. She's an elf woman. She has long hair, or she has, a lot of garish makeup on and jewelry. You can smell heavily flowered perfume. It's stuff like that. Like, it just kind of adds a little bit of depth. Like, who you're interacting with, and then whenever you're playing that character, then it kind of helps what you're looking at. Like, it helps fill out the experience. So I felt well prepared for that one. I think we played early in the month, the first session, and then late in the month, the second session. So I had a lot of time. I put in the time. I was recruiting players and all kinds of stuff. So overall, a good session. Everybody was like, great, great, great. We bid farewell to Alicia. I made her cupcakes, and that was the end of the second session. So again, YouTube, so please like and subscribe if you're out there. Leave a comment, anything to drive engagement, anything to make them think that I'm going to make money for them, because this is all about the money. And for me, this is more about, like, kind of documenting my hobby and sharing my thoughts and experiences. So until next time, game on. Have a good time. Take care. Love you. Bye.